My 2022 ranking video did very well, so I figured let's go back in time and do previous years. 2021 was a strange year for animated films. There are still a lot of films releasing on streaming and not in theaters. Just like before, I'm going to go over US releases here, and I will be going over a few hybrids like Tom and Jerry and Space Jam 2. And again, obviously I haven't seen every animated film in 2021, but these are the ones I've seen, and there's 40 films here. And like before, I did this tier list on my Twitch channel before writing for this video, so be sure to follow for when I make more. I'm going in release order, so let's get started. The Earwig and the Witch. This is Studio Ghibli's first 3D movie. It looks better than other films on this list, but it still doesn't look too great. That Ghibli charm doesn't translate that well to 3D. Even so, I could forgive the look if the film wasn't so boring. It seems like barely anything happens in this film. I think the cat might be the only thing I liked about this movie, and that's just because I have a black cat. Also, this is another Goro Miyazaki film, so another disappointment from Hayao Miyazaki's son, D tier. Tom and Jerry. I love the original Tom and Jerry theatrical shorts. They're my favorite classic cartoons. And Tom and Jerry themselves in this movie are the best part, of course. It's interesting to see how every animal in the movie is a cartoon compared to the real people in the world. It's not just Tom and Jerry. It's not like other cartoon characters coming to the real world movies. This is just a world that exists with cartoon animals. But unfortunately, Tom and Jerry feel like background characters in this. There's this wedding going on that I don't care about, and I don't like any of the human characters. Tom and Jerry are fine though, even with that scene of Jerry photocopying his butt. D tier. Bigfoot Family. This is the sequel to that Son of Bigfoot movie from a few years ago. This one is all about going to Alaska and trying to save the environment from this oil fracking company. It's a pretty basic story. I don't really have that much to say about this one, honestly. Visually, it does look nice. It's from InWave Studios, which did the Chicken Hair movie that I talked about in my last ranking video. C tier. The SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. This is by far the worst SpongeBob movie. The first SpongeBob movie is amazing. The second one is surprisingly decent. This movie, however, it's about Gary being kidnapped, and it starts out pretty basic, but it loses focus in the middle. And especially towards the latter third of the movie, it just seems like an advertisement for Camp Coral, which just slowed down the movie a lot. It felt tacked on. D tier. Raya and the Last Dragon. I like the world they were trying to build, and everyone in the world just doesn't trust each other, though I didn't like how there was sort of a vague evil force with the Droon. A lot of it almost felt like it would work better as a show for how much they were trying to explore. However, I love Sisu. I love her design and her personality, the way she moves, it's great. I also really love the background score in this, it's very good. B tier. Secret Magic Control Agency. This is a weird one. It's based on Hansel and Gretel. They start out as adult agents, but then get turned into kids and have to solve the mystery of the missing king, all while fighting off these baked good minions. Like, these cupcakes in this movie are like minions from Illumination. The animation isn't bad, it's okay. It is one of the better animated films that gets dumped on Netflix. So, C tier. Arlo the Alligator Boy. Now, I don't like this film as much as the show, which is called We Love Arlo. At points, it feels very much like a setup for a show, which is probably why. It still has some good songs in here, and good animation, but I think the show is able to explore the characters a lot more and have some very interesting stories. So if I view this movie as part of the show, I would say B tier. The Mitchells vs. the Machines. After Sony Animation made Spider-Verse, it seemed like they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna make more good things. I wasn't as in love with this as everyone else was when it came out, but I can still respect this film a lot. I guess some of the meminess of it put me off a little bit, but still, the stylization is incredible. It has some very funny moments, and importantly, a lot of heart. Also, it has a kid that's obsessed with dinosaurs, so I related to that a lot. A tier. Trouble, aka Doggone Trouble. The main character's VA in this has awful delivery in this movie. That is the main thing I took away from it. The whole plot of this movie is just kind of like a Queen's Corgi combined with Bolt combined with Secret Life of Pets, and also Aristocats. Someone in my Twitch chat said it's like they took all of the dog movies that exist and combined them into one really bad dog movie. Also, Snoop Dogg is in this, and yes, he does rap, but pretty much all the characters in this movie are just kind of awful. D tier. Spirit Untamed. Now, I never watched any of the Netflix Spirit show. I have seen the original Spirit movie back in the day, though. But this is a completely different kind of movie. It's stylized 3D, and is a story about a girl and a horse, and saving Spirit. It wasn't too great, but also not really that bad either. I don't know anything about the show, but I think this story is completely separate from that. C tier. Wish Dragon, or as some people call it, not Aladdin. It follows a plotline similar to Aladdin, but it does it very well. It has it where the dragon is the selfish one in the story. It looks great, the animation is very fluid and fun. Honestly, I was very impressed by the movie. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway. The first Peter Rabbit I did not like at all, but surprisingly I liked this one a tiny bit better, but only a tiny bit. Peter in the first movie was a lot more selfish. In this one, he's not that much. It's very strange. Still, it's a very forgettable film. I barely remembered what happened. D tier. Rock Dog 2: Rock Around the Park. I guess Rock Dog got enough of a cult following to warrant a sequel? For those of you who are My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fans, there are a lot of those VAs in this movie. I recognized Kathleen Barr and Ashley Ball immediately. So a lot of the original VAs from the first movie were replaced, since those were more expensive, I guess. This film has a strange take on the Save the Rec Center plot, where the villain is playing both sides to destroy the park but also hold a benefit concert to help save the park at the same time. It's an interesting idea, but it's not good. The motivations seem all over the place with the characters here. D tier. Luca. I enjoyed this a lot. I watched it multiple times in 2021. It's a nice, chill summer movie with a lot of great vibes. The dynamic between Luca and Alberto is great. And then their dynamic with the people in the town is also very good. It's just a very fun and very sweet movie. It would also be very sweet of you to like this video. S tier. America the Motion Picture. I hated this movie. It was really bad. The animation isn't bad, it uses puppet animation, but it has terrible, terrible writing with just some really bad jokes. It has some of the worst writing I've seen in a Netflix original, and that's saying something because Netflix has some very awful stuff they churn out. There are also just much better parodies of American history out there. F tier. The Boss Baby Family Business. This was actually kind of fun, but it's still Boss Baby. It's got some weird jokes in here. The main two characters are grown up now, but then they get turned into babies again. The villain is Jeff Goldblum, which he's always fun, and it has a lot of great looking sequences, though they are very hectic. So it's not bad, not great, C tier. Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's funny how this film was kind of trying to warn us about AI stuff with algae rhythm. Just like with the first Space Jam with Michael Jordan, who would have guessed LeBron James isn't a great actor? The trailers for this had a bunch of WB properties in there, but still leaving out omissions like Cartoon Network stuff. It was strange. It does have a lot of 2D animation here with the Looney Tunes before they head into 3D, but it isn't as fun or as charming as the first Space Jam. It feels like it only exists because people willed it into existence. D tier. Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop. This is from the same director of Your Lie in April. I've never seen that, but I love the way this movie looks. It has an incredible color palette. I haven't seen many anime films that look quite like this. It's a romance story where the girl is a streamer who has a ton of followers, but afraid of showing her face because she has buck teeth and braces. And the boy has barely any followers but posts haikus, and both bump into each other at a mall to meet. But the movie just halts at one point to find a record for this old man. It is relevant to the plot, but man, it just slows the movie down immensely. I just wanted to get back to the romance part, so I gotta dock points for that. B tier. Vivo. This is a very fun movie with a journey across Florida. It has some great songs with Lin-Manuel Miranda. The girl character has a very unique look to her, and also has the most memorable song in the movie, in my opinion. It's also another Sony thing, along with Wish Dragon and Mitchell's. They did a lot in 2021. B tier. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time. This is the conclusion to the Evangelion rebuild films. I think the only thing that brings this film down is the fact that the mechs are in 3D, since the previous films had them in 2D. Hikaru Utada's songs during the credits of this movie are incredible. It's the same musician behind the Kingdom Hearts themes. I immediately added them to my playlist after I watched this movie. It actually elevated the movie more for me, just because of those songs. A tier. Paw Patrol the movie. Why did I watch this movie, you ask? Because I was trying to watch as many animated films in 2021 as I could, and thought I was going to do a review on this back then. Also, it was a digital release when theaters were still kind of not fully showing everything, so I might as well have watched the digital release. I understand this isn't a film for me at all, it's literally meant for preschoolers, but there was a nice lesson they were trying to tell about bravery and what it means to be brave. Though it did have a lot of toyetic things in here that felt almost like a toy commercial. Like getting into the vehicles and going off this ramp, like that was just a toy they were showing. Also, parts of this movie felt like anti-cat propaganda. And as a cat owner, I don't appreciate that. C tier. The Loud House movie. I haven't kept up with the show since like season 3, I think. It's very strange how they get to the castle in this movie. The family are descendants of this royal Scottish family, and there's like this evil maid that wants to take over the castle. There's also a ghost that Lucy talks to. As far as movies based on shows go, this was kind of forgettable in my opinion. C tier. Cryptozoo. And I'm not talking about the Logan Paul NFT thing. This is an indie animated movie. I found this very interesting. With this movie, none of the main characters are completely in the right here. The pacing is kind of strange. It starts with this couple that stumbles across the Cryptozoo in the first 10 minutes of the movie before it gets going. I liked all the different cryptids they included here, including a lot of them from all sorts of places around the world. It is kind of like a Jurassic Park type movie, so you can guess what the climax is like in this movie. I'm gonna give it a B tier. Dragon Rider, aka Fire Drake the Silver Dragon. In this movie, dragons are hidden from the world in the modern day. They reference How to Train Your Dragon in the very beginning of this movie, and it's funny because this movie is also based on a book. One thing I did like about this is the design of the main villain Nettlebrand, which is voiced by Patrick Stewart. There's also a discount Allura from Spyro the Dragon, but the main dragon, Fire Drake, I don't like at all as far as his design goes. His expressions just look very off compared to everyone else. D tier. Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. This is an idea that probably should have been done a very long time ago. It just seems so obvious. This is also the last thing that Muriel's voice actress did, so it was very nice to hear her play the character one last time. The stuff with Courage, Shaggy, and Scooby was pretty fun. Seeing all of those characters interact with each other is the best part of the movie. Eustace doing a rap song in the middle of it brings it down a bit though. Like most Scooby-Doo movies, it's just fine overall. C tier. Night of the Animated Dead. The original Night of the Living Dead is a classic, of course, but why did they decide to make an animated version of it? And not only that, a poorly animated version of it. This just seems like something that Adult Swim would do for an April Fool's joke. It's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake, but looking worse and losing the atmosphere of the original. It's just a worse version of the original movie. F tier. My Little Pony: A New Generation. Okay, if you know me, you know what's coming. Hold on, let me turn into a horse for a minute. Okay, there we go. So, I love this movie. I literally watched it 4 times in the same day because I liked it so much. I love all the characters in it. Izzy is my favorite. The animation is great and detailed. All of the songs are amazing. I've just talked about this movie a lot, including a video I made about it concerning empathy. I'm a big MLP fan and a big fan of this movie in general, so it's S tier for me. The Addams Family 2. In this movie, they go on a vacation because Gomez is concerned that Wednesday isn't spending enough time with her family. But Wednesday gets coerced by the villain in this movie since she's annoyed by her family. This is the second movie in this new Addams Family franchise, and they're already doing the vacation trope. At least Hotel Transylvania waited until the 3rd movie for that trope. These new Addams Family movies have just been very unappealing in general. D tier. Ron's Gone Wrong. I actually really like this movie. This is the first film from Locksmith Animation, and it's quite a good debut. It was very good about talking about kids' consumption of technology, but also making friends in this technological age. It wasn't preachy, like it didn't show technology as evil, but as a tool to use responsibly in our lives. I also like how the bully characters weren't just bullies and had their own problems. Also, the animation on Ron was great. The facial expressions he makes are very fun. I just thought it was excellent. A tier. Extinct. This is about these donut-shaped animals called flummels that accidentally time travel, and they meet this group of animals called Extinctables, which include a Triceratops, a Dodo, a Tasmanian tiger, and a Macrocania? I thought it was very interesting they included that. So, complete bias here since there is paleo creature representation in this film. They did like a song and everything too, which the song isn't that great, but still, I was excited to see these as major characters in the film. But despite my bias, the film itself is just kind of okay. C tier. Encanto. So, originally, I liked Raya and the Last Dragon more out of the 2 Disney films from 2021, but then I watched Encanto a lot more and ended up liking it better. Obviously, the film has some incredible music. It popped off after it got on Disney+, where We Don't Talk About Bruno became even more popular than Let It Go for a while, which is crazy. All of the characters are a lot of fun. It is a bit hard to shine a light on all of them when there are so many, but since it's a musical, it was much easier for them to all get the spotlight. S tier. Green Snake. This is the sequel to White Snake, and it is completely different. It's very strange. Like, the setting completely changes, and the main character is Verta rather than Blanca. She gets sent to this realm with a bunch of characters from different eras. It has some great animation from Light Chaser, and I think I might actually like this film better than White Snake because of how different it is. It has some very interesting character designs and good action as well. B tier. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So in 2021, I watched the original live-action Diary of a Wimpy Kid for the first time. So when this film came out, I had the original freshly in my mind. And pretty much, this is a basic retelling of that film, but worse. Like I said with my 2022 ranking with Roderick Rules, they're trying to do a Peanuts thing with the animation, but it's just not working too well. I'm not quite as attached to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid franchise as other people, because I didn't grow up with it, so it's not quite F tier, but it is a D tier. Flea. This was nominated for Best Animated Feature as well as Best Documentary and International Film, which I think is the first time that has ever happened. It's about a gay man who is fleeing Afghanistan with his family as a boy to Russia, but then trying to flee Russia, and all while trying to flee human traffickers multiple times. And that's pretty much what this film is about, victims of human trafficking. It's a very good documentary, and in a style where they were able to show the story of this man's life and flashbacks by animating it. A tier. Back to the Outback. I actually like this movie quite a bit. It has this group of quote-unquote dangerous zoo animals along with this koala going back to the Outback, as the title implies. The koala reminds me a lot of Nom Nom from We Bare Bears, and the snake also has some of the best snake animation I've seen in an animated film. She just moves so fluidly. The villain is also kind of like an evil Steve Irwin. He's a lot of fun. B tier. Rumble. A world where kaiju fight each other in wrestling matches. I believe the WWE was also part of this film, like they're listed under the production studios. The monster designs in here are pretty cool, and I liked Will Arnett, but I wasn't too encapsulated by the story. It was just a little too basic for me, so I'm gonna give it a C tier. Sing 2, the one with Bono in it. I don't know if this is better or worse than the original. It's a lot of the same with the characters singing popular music. Compared to a lot of the films on this list though, it still has some good animation and fun moments. A lot of it just feels like Illumination's formula to appeal to a lot of people. So, C tier. Hilda and the Mountain King. Basically a continuation of Hilda after Season 2. There's this big conflict going on with the town and the trolls outside of the town. If you like Hilda, you're going to love it. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the color palette of this show is amazing, and it's the same here. One thing I remember about this film is when they showed the original poster for it, people were giving it the side eye for what it looked like. But anyway, it's a great movie from a great show. A tier. Poupelle of Chimney Town. Here's another 3D anime film, but this was better than Earwig and the Witch, that's for sure. It has sort of this steampunk world with this boy that befriends this garbage man that sort of just manifests. A lot of the character designs in this actually remind me a lot of Wind Waker. It has a more stylized look to it, so there are points where it looks more 2D than 3D, which is nice. Though one Letterboxd review I saw compared it to what a 3DS game looks like, which I thought was funny. B tier. SEAL Team. I watched this movie on a whim, and it ended up being very fun. It has a great voice cast with people like J.K. Simmons, Patrick Warburton, Kristen Schaal, Kate Micucci, and Seal as Seal? Which, why didn't Sing do that? It also has a very interesting animation style where it looks slightly stop motion at times. It's just a fun movie, but I also have bias once again because I like marine mammals. B tier. Alright, so here's my ranking after some inner tier positioning. Night of the Animated Dead. America the Motion Picture. Trouble, aka Doggone Trouble. Rock Dog 2, Rock Around the Park. The Addams Family 2. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Dragon Rider, aka Fire Drake the Silver Dragon. Earwig and the Witch. Tom and Jerry. Space Jam: A New Legacy. The Spongebob Movie, Sponge on the Run. Paw Patrol, the movie. Bigfoot Family. The Loud House Movie. The Boss Baby, Family Business. Secret Magic Control Agency. Spirit Untamed. Rumble. Extinct. Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. Sing 2. Poupelle of Chimney Town. Arlo the Alligator Boy. Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop. Vivo. Green Snake. Cryptozoo. Wish Dragon. Back to the Outback. SEAL Team. Raya and the Last Dragon. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time. Hilda and the Mountain King. Ron's Gone Wrong. The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Flea. Luca. Encanto. And at the top I have My Little Pony: A New Generation. I think a lot of you might have seen this coming, and if you didn't see this coming, then you do not know me. Anyway, what were your favorite animated films from 2021? I have a feeling your top film will probably be very different from mine. And remember, I worked on this list on my Twitch, so if you want to see me work on future videos, go follow me there. And remember to subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And if you haven't seen my 2022 ranking video, why don't you watch that one next? I hope to make a lot more videos like this down the line, so thank you for watching.